The French houses of Guerlain and Dior have come out with two new fragrances. Guerlain with Patchouli Ardent and Dior with Oud Rosewood. In today's video, I'll be giving you my first/initial impressions on these two new fragrances. Stay tuned to hear my thoughts. What's going on YouTube? Raj here. I hope all of you are well. So in my last video, which was a haul video in case you hadn't seen it, I placed an order with Guerlain and you get to choose a couple of samples. One of them which I was really interested to try because it is a new release into the Les Absolus Dior collection, and this one is Patchouli Ardent. And I am going to do basically a first impressions on this one, and I will wait maybe 45 minutes to an hour, come back to the video and then give you my thoughts. The other fragrance is from Dior's Maison Christian Dior collection. It's called Oud Rosewood. I have actually worn that one a couple of times, so it's going to be more of an initial impressions. Let's kick things off with the Guerlain. So this one, £142 for 125 ml. It's available on the UK website, the French website. It's also available, it was exclusive at Harrods. So I actually should have checked, but I imagine it will be soon available in the US, if not so already, and Canada too. In the inside of this I think it's a 1 ml sample they give out here. Yeah, 1 ml. It says, a legendary inspiration in the world of perfumery, patchouli is given a place of honor in this fragrance from the Absolut Dior collection. Thierry Vasser, who is Guerlain's head perfumer, exalted the luminosity of the typically dark and woody faceted patchouli, rendering it livelier and more powerful, mixed with notes of pepper and fig. So fig, that sounds kind of interesting, a little bit fruity. Let's see how this one works out. The elegance of Turkish Rose Absolute follows in its wake, upheld by a vibrant cedar. In its trail of scent is wrapped in a majestic leather and musk accord. So sounds to me potent, sounds like there could be a lot going on, could be quite complex. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so spraying this one on for the first time, I'll do a couple of sprays from this sample and let's see how it goes. Okay, wow. Wow, actually that is really nice. I was expecting it to be a lot more bolder, but it's quite soft and chocolatey, very smooth. The rose comes through. It's a little bit, there's a slightly sweaty feel. That makes it sound quite bad, but it's like a cuminy, musky, slightly sweaty feel. Okay, so it's got a freshness, but it's got a slightly animalic side to it as well, which is interesting. First impressions are always tricky because normally you get a chance to like compose your views here. It's literally everything that's coming off straight off the top of my head I'm saying on this video. There is something that this fragrance reminds me of. I don't want to say it's like exactly like any other fragrance I've tried, but there is something in there that I don't know if I'll be able to pick it up later, but it kind of reminds me of something, another fragrance that I can't quite put my finger on. Patchouli Ardent, according to Google Translate, your best source for translation services on the internet, means fiery patchouli. I wouldn't really say the patchouli is coming through that strongly, if I'm honest. It's more of a warm skin, slightly almost oudy actually, like a cashmere blanket that has been scented in musk and rose. Maybe the patchouli will come through a little bit later on in the fragrance, but I'm definitely there's nothing in here that really reminds me of this typically earthy, chocolatey, sometimes smoky, oily note, depending on how it's done. So far, literally my first impressions are actually, this is a really nice scent, I have to say. And I think maybe the fragrance that it's coming to mind is actually another fragrance from Guerlain's this collection, the Absolute D'Orient collection. I'm thinking of maybe Bois Mystérieux in that kind of cuminy, woody feel. So maybe. I'm going to come back to this one in about an hour's time and give you my thoughts. Okay, so moving on now to the latest fragrance. Yeah, I think it actually is. I don't know for a fact if it's the latest fragrance, but it must be. From Dior's Maison Christian Dior collection. And this one is called Oud Rosewood. So I was quite interested in trying this. Let me just bring up the notes quickly. I was quite interested to try this one because Dior have got a few ouds in their collection. There's Oud Isfahan, which is a very bold, spicy, sweet rose fragrance, a bit dry. They also have Purple Oud, which is a fragrance that I've reviewed. I'll leave the link down below if you're interested in that. Very nice. I described it as a Parisian oud. It's well-mannered, smoky, woody, quite nice. Nothing sort of impactful, but really well put together. With Oud Rosewood, their description on the Dior website is pretty large. So I'll try and sort of pick out what this is, what the key elements of this fragrance is. Basically what they're saying here is that this is a powerful fragrance with animal notes, precious woods, rosewood, yeah, deep sensuality, spicy, that kind of thing here. They're saying the most evocative shades of brown. So Oud Rosewood, oh actually one more thing that's worth mentioning, I just noticed this on the Dior website actually. They now have a 40 ml spray. Now I don't know if that's been around for a while, but I never knew that they had it. In pounds, the price is £89 for a 40 ml spray. This goes all the way up to a 450 ml splash, which actually sells for 405. So let's get into my initial impressions of this fragrance. Oud Rosewood is pretty good. It does actually remind me in some ways to Purple Oud, and I kind of felt with the first few times wearing this was, do they really need another one in this style? I think it's quite different to Oud Isfahan. That one is much more bombastic, shall we say. Parisian Oud is, as I said, a more drier, slightly smoky, woody accord. This one has a more kind of powdery feel. It has a soapy feel to it as well. I don't find this to want to be a animalic fragrance. They say animal notes. There is a sweet, warm, muskiness to this, which is actually really, really good. And maybe that's what they're saying is this animal notes, but it's not harsh at all. It's certainly a potent fragrance and it's quite nice on the skin. It feels quite exotic. I imagine this one would perform quite interestingly in warm weather. I wouldn't say that I'm picking up on oud notes per se. I think this is Dior and Francois Demachy using their imagination as to what oud in maybe their head smells like and giving it a Parisian twist. If I'm honest with you guys, I am actually finding it a little bit difficult to pick apart specific notes. I think if I had to try my best in this initial sort of stage of me testing this fragrance, as you can see I've got I think this is a 5 ml decant. I would say a touch of saffron, maybe a touch of like a geranium in there, or maybe a touch of rose. There's a muskiness in here. There's a generic kind of woodiness in here, but a high quality one. It's definitely a quality fragrance. I'm not sure this is having the same impact on me as Oud Isfahan did. I would maybe put this in the same category as Purple Oud, like a solid, woody, slightly smoky fragrance. I'll be back in an hour to let you know my thoughts on this fragrance and the Guerlain. Okay, so I am back and let's start off with Patchouli Ardent. And I've pretty much figured out what this fragrance was reminding me of, and what I would say at this moment in time, 1 hour of me wearing this fragrance, is that it is a hybrid of different fragrances from this collection. So I would say it's got the boozy, fruity qualities of Santal Royal. It's got the fresh, wonderful rose note that Oud Essential has. And it's got that kind of slightly smoky, sweaty, wood, dry spiciness from Bois Mystérieux. It's actually a really, really nice combination of accords that come through. Another fragrance that I feel like it reminds me of is a slightly softer version of Penhaligon's Levantium, which was a fragrance I really enjoyed. So far, Patchouli Ardent is a fragrance that I can say that I enjoy. I think it's quite bold. It could potentially for some people be a little bit more challenging. If you're used to the more fresher, lighter style of fragrances, this might not be for you. But I can imagine myself or someone wearing this on a cold day when you're wearing a thick jumper, maybe a big jacket, a wool or cashmere jacket, a big scarf, and you've sprayed the scarf, sprayed the jacket, sprayed the jumper, and you're out in the crisp, cold, open air. And I imagine it would smell quite good. But you know, these types of fragrances sometimes can surprise you and actually smell quite nice in warmer weather. So yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. Definitely worth taking a look at, worth a sniff, I would say. For me, this is a 1 ml sample, so I don't really know if I can do like a full review because there's only so much you can get from a 1 ml, but hopefully this video helps you guys in some way. Moving on to Oud Rosewood, and to be honest, there hasn't been much transition at this point after an hour. It's still pretty good. I still like this fragrance. It is quite easy to wear actually, now that it's starting to dry down. It is still with that sweet woodiness. The rosewood is coming through. Now, rosewood is not a note that I can say that I'm hugely familiar with. I believe it's in Chanel Egoiste. I used to own a rosewood shaving soap, which really gave me a feel for what a rosewood was like. This is like a dustier, spicy version. It's got oud in the title. I wouldn't really say this is an oud dominant fragrance. It doesn't have any sort of skanky qualities at all. It's actually quite a smooth fragrance overall. It's a little bit creamy. It's got a floral, almost like a saffron quality. I feel like if you are very much into fragrances at niche level, you've tried a lot of oud fragrances, you might have tried this type of fragrance or this style of fragrance already. I wouldn't say it necessarily brings anything new to the table, but I think the ingredients are nice. I think the blending is nice. It's a strong fragrance without being overwhelming, and I'm actually really looking forward to getting towards the end of this decant and giving you a review. So guys, if you are familiar with these fragrances, please let me know your thoughts and drop a comment down below. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.